Hi, Chloe. Thank you so much for joining us in our AFL London 30th anniversary dinner. Unfortunately, we can't have you here, but having you on live on Zoom is just as good for us. So thank you so much.
No, that's okay. It's the next best thing in this world that we live in. Gosh, if I could be over there, I'd be over there in a heartbeat.
So we thought it would be nice for everyone tonight to just ask you a few questions. So if I start off, AFL London is celebrating its 30th anniversary. We should have been celebrating this last year. And if I go back 30 years, my first memory is the 1990 footy season, which for me was memorable because my team won the first AFL premiership. I know you weren't around 30 years ago, but what's your first memory of AFL?
Yes, I was, I think, quote you, a speckle in my parents' eyes. My latest memory that I have is kicking the footy on the streets with the boys that I grew up with. We would make one of the trees the goal post and the car would be the other goal post. I think the car was probably not the brightest idea that we had. And then the other side would just be these 5 bushes that are lined, and that was the goal. So that's like the earliest memory I have is, just playing footy in the front yard, and I'd do it pretty much every night after school and then on the weekends as well. It was just footy.
Yeah. It's so different back then. That's pretty much how I remember playing footy, just literally just kicking on the street, footy.
And when the street lights went off, that was when it was home time.
Yeah. And then following on from that, what sort of inspired you to then sort of go on and decide AFL is going to be the career for me?
Well, I did play Auskick when I was a little girl, and I played with the boys, and I actually stopped playing football because there was a stage where girls weren't allowed to play with the boys, and there was just not a pathway that we could continue on to play professionally. So I've only recently, maybe in the past 5-6 years, been inspired to come back to the AFLW. I had a close friend of mine who was playing in the VFLW league over here, which is the tier below the pinnacle of AFLW. So she was playing in that, and I just had a sense of jealousy that I wanted to be out there doing that, and I couldn't at the time because of my basketball commitments, but that urge and that feeling was just way too strong to ignore. So I kind of had to do something about it and act upon it. And that's when I was inspired to throw my name in the hat for AFLW. And fortunately for me, I was drafted by the team I grew up supporting in Collingwood. That's
great. And as far as idols go, I think if I recall rightly, your uncle played for Fitzroy, is that right?
Yeah. I
very much remember him playing. My dad was a Fitzroy supporter, so I remember him well. Who was your idol like growing up?
He was one that I watched, obviously with the family ties and connections, because it was my uncle playing on the TV, and any niece would want to watch, their famous uncle on the screen. But my idol growing up was actually Dale Thomas. He wore number 13 for the Pies, and then finished up at Carlton. But I loved him. He was Daisy. He had the dreadlocks. He wore number 13, so much so that my first email was clomothomas13@hotmail.com. I just loved him. He brought out a signature boot, and I wore his boots to bed. Just adored him.
He was a great player. It was a shame to see him go over to Carlton, but he was a great player.
I know, to rivalry club too. I mean, he was his best when he was at Collingwood.
Yeah, absolutely. And if we sort of move on to the situation that we're in now with COVID, and we've seen the footy leagues all over the place being disrupted, the AFL season being disrupted. We had to push our season out a whole season really, and have a shortened season. So what's it been like for you guys, with training or, doing what you sort of want to do? Has it been frustrating, or are you just one of these people that's just rolled with it and just, sort of dealt with it as it comes?
I've tried to be more so adaptable to it all, especially as it's been around for a few years now, and you've kind of become immune to it. So I've probably become more of like just sit back and let it all happen. But In the beginning, I was pretty unmotivated, especially when the season was cancelled and couldn't train or couldn't do anything like that, in a sense of be around people. And I play football because I enjoy it being a team sport. So it felt really isolating having to train on your own. And if I'm honest, I need a bit of someone. I need support or moral support, even just with me when I am training. Just because I don't find running that enjoyable, and I would much rather do it with my teammates or have someone there, and we weren't allowed to do that. So that was really hard to find the motivation to get up every day. And everyone's kind of similar. It's like living the same day over and over again, and there's only so long that we can put up with that before it starts to really get to us, and then the mental health effects that it has on us. And I kind of had to stop for a little bit just because I was going through some stuff and didn't really have a lot of energy to exert. So training was really hard for me. So I've definitely felt the effects of COVID in a football way, but also away from footy. But I'm trying to be more, take things as they come. And now that we've had the virus has been around for a while, we've kind of know a little bit more about, and here in Australia and with the AFLW right now, we've got exemptions to train, which means we can go in and be with the girls and train with the team, which I think I should be really grateful for, and the players should be really grateful for, because there's a lot of people out there that are struggling, but I get to go and do the job and play footy, which is what I love to do.
Yeah, which is nice. It's been hard for everyone. I can definitely attest to that over here.
Yeah.
We know, like I noticed that the VFLW season just came to a sudden halt. Like, you had two teams that played absolutely fantastically, and when it came to grand final, I think it got cut off literally the week before. So what's the feeling been for those players? Like, I guess there must be some level of disappointment of not, actually being able to complete a season.
Yeah, I think it was disappointing. It was literally 80 minutes of football that needed to be played, and it had been pushed back and pushed back more. And I think girls started to lose hope in that it would ever be played. And then, well, unfortunately, it never came to fruition. And it's just another year that there's not another premier, and the Collingwood side went undefeated. So it was a bit like, well, we want to play for it, but don't you think we should be not given it, because it was definitely earned throughout the year. So it was heartbreaking that it wasn't finished. And I really felt for the girls, because there's some VFLW players that had been in preseason for like over a year because last year was cancelled. So yeah, it's like we got so far that surely there was a way we could figure out to play this game.
Is there no way they won't decide to try and play it,
They've fully pulled the pin on it. They've cancelled it, and I just think they couldn't really drag it out anymore. Girls had to move on with life, so to say, and it was just in this uncomfortable limbo period where it's like, I don't know if it's going to be played. They're going to reassess on this date, and then I guess the tough decision. And I mean, it really wasn't easy for the people who had to make the call, but it was disappointing that one game of football that would have had a massive ripple effect on the mental health of these girls, that it just couldn't be played out. So yeah, it was sad, but they've been really positive, and they've ensured that they're still getting around each other, which I think we've learnt to do, is connect with people and ensure that we're looking after our mates.
Yeah. Okay. In the UK, we were fortunate enough to have crosscoders come over, and they've had relatively good success, I'd say, because there's a lot of Irish girls that have come over and play in the AFLW. And I know you come from a basketball background, so how did you find that transition? Was it difficult moving across from a completely different sport, or were those skill sets, it didn't really matter because you were able to use those skill sets?
Well, I think for me, probably the biggest thing that I maybe had to adapt to pretty quickly was just the fitness level of basketball and footy, because I had played football as a young girl. So it was almost like when the footy came back in my hand, I didn't lose it. It was just always there. I just kind of had to open the drawer and pick up the footy skills, and they just return. It's like a duck to water with kicking and marking and handballing. But the one thing, like I said, was the fitness side, because obviously basketball is played in a short, sharp court, where the footy, a football oval, you're running about 10 to 12 kilometres a game. So that was the one thing that I had to adapt to pretty quickly.
Hopefully it inspires more people to sort of try and come across from different sports and give the sport a go.
Yeah, why not? Like you said, we've got a lot of Irish recruits. We've got 2 in our team, and their Gaelic skills that they bring across, I'm in awe of what they're able to do. So, the more the merrier, I say.
And your pre-season, I think you've said you've just started pre-season. So how's that all going?
Good. It was probably more exciting to be back this time, only because we've been so deprived of human connection. So training's kind of a good excuse to be a little socialite. In a legal way, we can go and be around a lot of people, but it's really good where we are shaping up really well. We're only our first week in. We've had induction, we've had our testing, so all the scary stuff is kind of finished. But we made the prelim last year and lost that to Brisbane by 4 points. So you can tell the girls are coming into this preseason with a lot of hunger, and we're striving to go one better. Obviously, there's a lot of work to do prior to that, but yeah, it's going well. And I never thought I'd say, but I'm actually excited to be back running. Yeah, like I said, I never thought I'd say that, but preseason's good. We're traveling well. My body feels good, and yeah, we're just out and about, and it's so good to be back playing footy. So I can't even, everyone watching this and hearing this would probably share the same feeling if they have been so deprived of footy for so long, and you get back to it. It's just, you're chomping at the bit for it. Yeah,
and then I know that the women's comp sort of runs a little bit slightly before the normal AFL comp. Next year we've got, I think it's another 14. So each team will have an AFLW team, which is, I think, considering, it's only been 5 or 6 years, a really big progress for the competition. Do you think it's more now is the time to sort of align it so that, once upon a time you used to watch the reserves play and then the seniors play? Should the women be like a precursor to that, to sort of like the men's game, and then it sort of joins everything up together a bit better?
It's probably something that's been going around for a little bit now. Women should play the curtain raiser. I'm a bit on the fence, and I've heard some really good arguments on both sides. So for me, I don't want to undermine the women and say that we should just be a curtain raiser for the men. Like, I think it would be a healthy balance if, the men were a curtain raiser to us sometimes.
Yep.
If that's the way they chose to go. But I do think that the men and the women, they're two very different products. The men have been around for hundreds, over 100 years now. We're still establishing ourselves. We've got very different audiences that want to watch, but I think there will come a time where we can combine the men and the women. We both fall under the umbrella of AFL. Just what that looks like in terms of, curtain raisers or whatnot. I think it's amazing that all 18 teams now have a women's club. I think that's something that we should be really proud of as female athletes and female footballers. It creates more opportunities for cross-coders as well. So
yep, it definitely helped our league over here when it went professional in 2016. We the teams over here went from having 4 ladies teams to nearly every team having a ladies team. So it's definitely helped us.
Yeah, and it only opens up more opportunities for many female footballers wanting to play professionally. But I don't know, I'm not sold on curtain raisers, but like I said, I've heard arguments from both sides. But I do know that the women's have worked really hard to get the game to where it is. And I would hate for that to be taken away from us.
I guess one advantage is you're playing in the summer, so So it might be a bit warmer, but the temperature might be a bit better.
I mean, some are real hot, but yeah, I would rather play in the hot than in the rain, if I'm brutally honest.
So when you're not playing footy, what can we find you doing? What would you do?
Well, in a non-COVID world, you'd probably find me out and about a bit more. I love the beach, love going down. So we've got some really beautiful beaches down the coast here. But I'm working with Fox Sports News, which is really cool. That's a new job opportunity that I took up 4 months ago now. So working across a range of sports. But otherwise, you'll probably these days find me on the couch with a glass of red watching some Netflix series or some Stan series.
Sounds very familiar.
Yeah, Stan, Binge, yeah, Prime Video, all those network, well, all those, what do you call it, social streaming, video, whatever they are. Yeah, that's probably what you'll find me doing these days.
Is your Fox footy, is that something that you're that's a post you're thinking ahead of, like, when you finish your footy, or like, are we likely to see you on on screens, like working alongside Daisy, or is that sort of where you want your media career to go?
Yeah, I studied a Bachelor of Sports Media, so this is the first opportunity that I've had to kind of put my studies into practice, and working alongside Daisy, or I really admire what she's been able to do in the media. I'm not sure where I fit in the media puzzle right now. It's literally like 1,000 jigsaw puzzle piece, and they're forever moving. But I do want to get my foot in and kind of start. It sounds silly, but start thinking about what do I want to do after football. Only because the game can be taken away from us so quickly through injury and God knows what. But yeah, I want to just get my name and my foot in the door. So hopefully post my career, I can be in the media, because I don't think the media or social media is going anywhere. If anything, it's thriving.
Yeah, absolutely. And then just I know we've taken up video time, so just a few small questions to finish off. Do you have any superstitions before you go out for a game?
I used to. I don't anymore. I do just have a routine of gnocchi bolognese. But in my first year with the Pies, I mean, sharing's caring. I used to wear blue undies every game. Blue undies. So that was one superstition that I had. A little bit embarrassing.
Interesting. And if you were to invite 4 guests to a dinner party, living or deceased, who would be like your 4 ultimate guests?
Well, you gave me a heads up on this one, so I did cheat a little bit, but I've thought about it, and one would be my mum. The second would be Brad Pitt, because mum's always wanted to meet him, and she thinks he's the hottest thing since sliced bread. And then I would also invite Justin Bieber.
Awesome. Amazing.
So mum and Brad can have a chat, and then myself and Justin can have a chat.
I can agree with your mum about Brad Pitt, although maybe in his early years, not so much now. And then very last question, for kids who aspire to become professional sports people, or footy players, or what's the one piece of advice that you would give them that would sort of help them along the way?
I would say put yourself out there. That's if the career of being an AFLW player or even an AFL player is something you want, I'd really encourage you to give things a try. And I think about the people sitting in the room tonight or on Zoom. Sorry, go join that team, or go. I don't know, just put yourself out there, put your name out there, and give people a reason not to select you. I think we can kind of get caught, just kind of going through the motions, not really putting ourselves forward for opportunities, because it can be scary at times. And obviously failing doesn't make you feel overly great, and it kind of, can shoot the confidence. But put yourself out there. I did with footy. I had no idea if I could come back and play, if I was any good, but I knew it was something I loved. So I just put myself out there. It also made me happy. So it was something that I couldn't explore. But yeah, my advice to any young footballer is just put yourself out there. You really don't have anything to lose.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to chat to us. Hopefully one day we'll see you over here.
Fingers crossed.
We'll get you a star performance in one of our teams. But have a great pre-season and hopefully an even better normal season, and go Pies for next year.
Thanks, Maz, and congratulations and on your 30th anniversary. Although it should have been last year, it's exciting that it is now and you can all celebrate it. So yes, fingers crossed I'll be over there. Who knows when? Stranger things have happened. So yeah, I'll be on a flight one day.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No worries. Thanks, Maz.